They told you that you needed her, that without her, your life wouldn't be complete. They said she was the missing piece to your puzzle, the key to your happiness, the answer to your questions. She may have even believed it herself. Why wouldn't she? After all, isn't that the story we've been told our entire lives? That someone else holds the power to complete us? That we're not enough on our own? But here's the truth no one talks about. The truth that flips the script entirely. The moment you stop needing her, the second you realize that you were always whole, her entire ego begins to crack, because her power wasn't in who she was. It wasn't in what she offered. Her power was rooted in one simple thing, the illusion that you couldn't live without her. And when you shatter that illusion, when you show her, and yourself, that you never truly needed her, that's when everything changes. Because you didn't just let go of her, you let go of the story she built around you, the chains that society forged, the idea that your worth was tied to anyone or anything outside of yourself. This isn't about hate or revenge. This isn't about bitterness or coldness. This is about truth. A truth grounded in one of the most powerful philosophies humanity has ever known, Stoicism. The ancient Stoics taught us that our strength doesn't come from what we own, who we know, or even what we feel. It comes from one thing, the ability to stand tall and say, "I need nothing but myself." That's the mindset that breaks chains. That's the perspective that breaks egos. And this truth, my friend, isn't just about her. It's bigger than one person, one relationship, or one moment. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your freedom, your independence, your power. This is about understanding that the less you need, the freer you become. That's the secret. That's the philosophy. And that's why she didn't just lose you, she lost her hold over you. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to take back your power? Are you ready to free yourself from the illusion of dependency? If you are, then make sure to like this video right now and comment with the phrase, "Strength in detachment." Let's show the world what true independence looks like. Because this isn't just a philosophy, it's a mindset that can change your life. And it starts with one simple realization. You didn't need her, you never did, and that's what broke her ego. Now, let's dig deeper into the Stoic philosophy and the psychology of control. Trust me, this will change the way you see the world and yourself forever. Number 1. The Stoic foundation of self-sufficiency. Let's talk about a principle that has stood the test of time, a core idea rooted in the philosophy of Stoicism, self-sufficiency. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes when you realize that everything you need is already within you, not in material possessions, not in external validation, and certainly not in the approval of others. Your strength, your power, your peace, all of it is internal. It's unshakable when you master this truth. Now, why is this so revolutionary? Because most of us are taught the opposite. We're told that our worth is tied to something external, our relationships, our success, our possessions. We're told that we need to earn happiness by chasing after things. But what happens when you stop running? What happens when you realize that the chase was an illusion all along? That's when you become unstoppable. Think about this. Why do so many people try to control others? Why do they manipulate, guilt, or demand? It's because they believe their power comes from your need. They think, if they need me, I have control. If they can't live without me, I can shape their decisions, their emotions, their life. But here's where the Stoics had it figured out. The moment you detach from need, you take back all your power. And this is what throws people off balance. When you stop playing their game, they don't know how to win. You're no longer bargaining with something they can take from you. Instead, you're standing firm, grounded in the fact that you already have everything you need. And when someone can't control you with what they think you want, their ego collapses. But let's be clear, this isn't about arrogance. This isn't about cutting yourself off from the world. Stoicism isn't about rejecting love or connection. It's about liberating yourself from the fear of losing it. It's about being so grounded, so centered, that even if everything external falls away, you remain unshaken. And here's the beauty of it. When you reach this level of self-sufficiency, you don't just protect yourself, you inspire others. You show them what it means to live without fear, to love without attachment, and to exist without depending on anyone else for your happiness. That's true freedom. That's the Stoic mindset. If you're starting to see how powerful this idea is, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I need nothing but myself." Let's remind ourselves and each other that we're stronger than we think. So now that we understand the foundation of self-sufficiency, let's dive into why this idea is so disruptive to the egos of those who try to control you. Get ready, because this is where things get even more interesting. Number 2. The psychology of ego and control. Now let's dig into the darker side of human nature, the psychology of ego and control. You see, every ego thrives on one thing: validation. It needs to be fed, constantly reassured that it's important, that it holds power, that it matters. And do you know the quickest way to shatter someone's ego? It's not by attacking them. It's not by arguing or fighting. It's by refusing to play the game entirely. Here's how it works. People who thrive on control will always seek out ways to make you depend on them. This dependency isn't always obvious. It's subtle, calculated. It might show up as her making you feel like only she can make you happy, or like she's the only one who understands you. Maybe she gives you something, a sense of importance, validation, or connection, and then subtly makes you feel like you owe her for it. This is where dark psychology comes into play. People with fragile egos often manipulate by creating a dynamic where they're the giver and you're the receiver. They position themselves as the source of something you need, and then they use that position to control you. But what happens when you wake up to this game? What happens when you realize you don't need what they're offering? That's when their control begins to slip. And here's where Stoicism becomes your superpower. The Stoics teach us to focus only on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our reactions. When you shift your energy inward, you stop giving power to the external. You stop reacting to manipulation. You stop needing their validation. And when you stop needing, their ego is left with nothing to hold on to. This is why people are so thrown off by detachment. When you're calm, centered, and self-sufficient, you disrupt their entire sense of control. They can't manipulate you with guilt. They can't bait you with promises or approval. And they can't rely on your need to fuel their ego. Instead, they're left with themselves, and that's often their greatest fear. But let's be honest, this isn't always easy. When someone is used to holding power over you, they won't let go without a fight. They might lash out, play the victim, or try to make you feel like you're the one who's wrong. That's why mastering your emotions, as the Stoics teach, is so important, because your calm response is the one thing they can't handle. So if you've ever been in a situation where someone tried to control you, drop a comment with the phrase, "I control my mind, no one else." Let's affirm that we own our thoughts, our actions, and our power. Now that we understand the psychology behind control, let's explore how her expectations and the story she built around you collided with your reality. Trust me, this is where things get even more fascinating. Number 3, her expectations versus your reality. Here's where things start to get really interesting. Her expectations versus your reality. See, in her mind, and in the minds of many people who rely on ego and control, there's a story she's built about you. In this story, you need her. You crave her attention, her validation, her approval. It's this story that keeps her feeling powerful. It feeds her ego, makes her believe she's indispensable. But the moment your reality doesn't match her expectations, that story starts to fall apart. Why? Because she expected you to chase. She expected you to seek her out, to fight for her attention, to show her that she's the center of your world. That's the dynamic she was prepared for. But when you didn't need her, when you stood firm in your independence, she was faced with something she wasn't ready for, a reality where she wasn't in control. This is where Stoicism gives you an edge. By embracing self-mastery, you've already freed yourself from the emotional traps she set. You're not chasing anyone. You're not reacting to manipulation. You're not playing the game, and that's what frustrates her most. She wanted you to need her, but you've shown her something far more powerful, that you're whole without her. Now, let's talk about why this hits her so hard. It's not just about you, it's about her sense of self. People who rely on control often tie their self-worth to how others react to them. When you don't play along, when you don't need her, it forces her to confront her own insecurities. She's left asking herself, if I'm not needed, what am I worth? That's the question she never wanted to face. And this dynamic doesn't just apply to relationships, it's everywhere. In friendships, in family, in business. People create expectations based on how they think you'll react. They bank on you needing them, validating them, or fulfilling their vision of the world. When you don't, you're not just rejecting their control, you're forcing them to question their entire sense of identity. This is why Stoic detachment is so powerful. By aligning your reality with the truth, you need nothing but yourself. You break free from these expectations. You stop living for their validation and start living for your own peace, your own purpose. So let me ask you, have you ever surprised someone by not reacting the way they expected? By staying calm when they tried to provoke you? If you have, drop a comment with the phrase, "My reality is my power." Let's remind ourselves that we define our lives, not someone else's expectations. In the next section, we'll dive into why your detachment isn't just a reaction, it's a deliberate strategy, and more importantly, why it's your ultimate power. Number 4. Your detachment is your power. Let's talk about the quiet strength of detachment. Detachment isn't about being cold, heartless, or indifferent. It's about clarity. It's about seeing things for what they are, not what you wish they were. Detachment is the ability to let go, not because you don't care, but because you care about something far greater, your peace, your freedom, and your power. Think about it. Most people are ruled by their emotions. They cling to relationships, to outcomes, to people, because they believe those things define their worth. They think, if I lose this person, I lose everything. Or, if I don't get this outcome, I've failed. But the Stoics teach us a different way. They teach us that true freedom comes when you detach from external things and focus only on what you can control, your mind, your actions, and your perspective. And here's the secret most people don't realize. Detachment isn't weakness, it's power. When you're detached, you can walk away from what doesn't serve you. You can let go of people who try to manipulate you. You can face challenges without fear because you're not tied to any particular outcome. And this kind of calm, unshakable energy, it's magnetic, it's rare, it's what draws people in, even as it drives the egotistical ones crazy. Now let's bring this back to her. When you chose detachment, when you showed her that you didn't need her, what you really did was reclaim your power. She expected you to react, to cling, to chase. But instead, you stood firm. You showed her that your value isn't tied to her presence in your life. And that's what shattered her ego. Because in her world, power was about control. But in your world, power is about freedom. And here's where the psychological shift happens. People who try to control you rely on your emotional reactions. They want you to feel desperate, insecure, or afraid of losing them. But when you're detached, those emotional hooks don't work. You're calm in chaos, you're steady in the storm, and that kind of energy, it's untouchable. But make no mistake, detachment takes practice. It's not something you achieve overnight. It's a skill, a mindset, a discipline. You have to train yourself to let go of the things you can't control and focus on what truly matters. And when you master this, you'll find that life becomes so much lighter. The burdens you once carried, the need for approval, the fear of rejection, they disappear. If you've ever felt the power of detachment, drop a comment with the phrase, "My calm is my power." Let's affirm that we don't need chaos to find meaning. We create meaning within ourselves. In the next section, we'll explore why this calm, steady detachment has such a profound impact on those who try to manipulate you, and why their ego crumbles when you refuse to chase. Number 5. The ego crumbles when you don't chase. Here's a truth most people will never admit. Control only works if you chase it. Think about it. If someone wants power over you, they need you to want something from them. They need you to crave their attention, their approval, their love. That's the fuel their ego runs on. But when you stop chasing, when you step back and say, "I don't need this," their ego starts to crumble, because without your pursuit, their power evaporates. This is why your decision not to chase was so impactful. She was counting on you to react, to reach out, to fight for her validation. That's the game she knew how to play. But when you didn't play along, you forced her into unfamiliar territory. She had to confront a reality where she wasn't in control. And for someone who thrives on ego, that's devastating. And here's the deeper psychology behind it. People who use control as their weapon often have fragile egos themselves. They rely on others to reinforce their sense of importance. Every time you chase, every time you beg or plead, it reassures them, "I matter, I have power." But when you don't chase, when you walk away with calm confidence, you're sending a different message entirely. "I don't need you, I am whole without you." And that's a truth they can't handle. Now let's clarify something important. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about ignoring someone just to make a point. Detachment isn't a strategy to manipulate others. It's a mindset to protect yourself. When you don't chase, it's not about punishing her. It's about respecting yourself. It's about saying, "My peace is more important than your approval." But this is what drives people with fragile egos crazy. They can't understand how you're okay without them. They can't fathom why their usual tactics aren't working. And in that moment, they're forced to confront their own insecurities, the truth they've been running from all along. The truth that their power wasn't real. It was just an illusion, dependent entirely on your willingness to give it to them. So let me ask you, have you ever stopped chasing someone and watched their behavior change? Maybe they suddenly started reaching out to you, or maybe they reacted with anger or confusion. If you've seen this dynamic play out, drop a comment with the phrase, "I don't chase, I attract." Let's remind ourselves that our worth isn't tied to anyone else's validation. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the practical side of Stoicism, specifically how the art of saying no and setting boundaries reinforces your freedom and your power. Number 6. Stoicism in action. The power of saying no. Let's talk about one of the simplest yet most powerful tools in Stoicism, the ability to say no. At first glance, it might seem insignificant, but think about this. How many times have you said yes to something you didn't really want? How many times have you agreed to something out of fear? Fear of disappointing someone, fear of losing them, or fear of conflict? Every one of those yeses chips away at your power, but every no? That's a step toward reclaiming it. Saying no is one of the purest forms of self-respect. It's a boundary. It's a line in the sand that says, "This is what I will and won't accept." And here's the thing about boundaries. People with strong egos and controlling tendencies hate them. Why? Because boundaries are limits they can't cross. They force the manipulative person to face a reality they can't change, your independence. Here's how the Stoics viewed it. They believed that our energy, our time, and our focus are finite resources. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you're giving away a piece of yourself. But when you say no, you're preserving your energy for what truly matters. You're prioritizing your own peace and purpose over someone else's expectations. And here's where the psychological impact comes in. When you say no to someone who's used to controlling you, it's like holding up a mirror to their ego. Suddenly they realize they don't have the power they thought they did. Your no becomes a reminder that they can't dictate your choices. And that's a hit their ego doesn't recover from easily. But saying no isn't just about shutting people out. It's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that your time, your peace, and your energy are valuable. And when you master the art of saying no, you create space for the things that truly matter. You stop letting others define your priorities and start living according to your own values. Of course, this isn't easy. There will be resistance. People who are used to you saying yes will push back. They'll guilt you, argue with you, maybe even make you feel like you're the problem. But remember this: every no is a declaration of your independence. Every no is a step toward the freedom Stoicism teaches us to embrace. So let me ask you, when was the last time you said no to something that didn't serve you? If you've taken a stand for your own peace, drop a comment with the phrase, "My no is my power." Let's celebrate the strength it takes to set boundaries and choose ourselves. In the next section, we'll talk about the ultimate boundary, the one that sends the clearest message of all: walking away. Stay with me, because this is where true freedom begins. Number 7. Why walking away is the ultimate power move. There's one move that speaks louder than words, louder than arguments, and louder than any emotional reaction: walking away. It's the ultimate boundary. It's the clearest message you can send. And the reason it's so powerful is simple. Walking away shows that you value yourself more than the situation, the person, or the outcome. It says, I'm not willing to sacrifice my peace, my values, or my dignity for this. But here's what most people miss. Walking away isn't about giving up. It's not about defeat or retreat. It's about making a choice, a conscious, deliberate choice to prioritize yourself. And that's exactly why it's so devastating to someone with a fragile ego. Because when you walk away, you're not just leaving them behind. You're leaving behind their control, their manipulation, and their ability to define your worth. Think about it. When you stay in a situation where you're undervalued, manipulated, or disrespected, you're sending a message that you're okay with it. But when you walk away, you're saying something completely different. You're saying, I deserve better, I refuse to settle, and I don't need you to validate my worth. That kind of self-respect is rare, and it's powerful. And here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics believed that we should focus only on what we can control. You can't control how someone treats you. You can't control how they react when you leave, but you can control your decision to walk away. You can control your own actions, your own boundaries, and your own path forward. And when you do, you take back your power. Walking away doesn't just free you. It forces others to confront themselves. It leaves them alone with their own actions, their own insecurities, and their own ego. For someone who thrives on control, that's a hard pill to swallow. They're left wondering, how could they just leave? How could they not need me? And the truth, that's their problem to solve, not yours. But let's be real. Walking away isn't always easy. It requires courage. It requires strength. It requires a deep belief in your own worth. And it requires you to let go of the fear of what might happen next. But when you take that step, you'll find something incredible on the other side. Freedom. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from control. Freedom to live life on your terms. So if you've ever walked away from something or someone that didn't serve you, drop a comment with the phrase, "Walking away is my strength." Let's celebrate the courage it takes to choose ourselves. In the next section, we'll explore how this decision to prioritize yourself ripples into every area of your life, transforming not just your relationships, but your entire mindset. Number 8. The ripple effect of independence. Here's the thing about reclaiming your independence. It doesn't just affect one part of your life. It changes everything. When you master the art of detachment, when you set boundaries, and when you have the strength to walk away, it sends ripples through every relationship, every decision, every aspect of your life. Independence isn't just a choice, it's a mindset. And once you embrace it, nothing looks the same. Let's start with your relationships. When you stop needing validation from others, your relationships become healthier, stronger, and more authentic. You're no longer seeking approval or bending yourself to fit someone else's expectations. Instead, you're showing up as your true self. And the people who respect that, they'll stay. The ones who relied on your neediness to feel important, they'll fall away, and that's a good thing. But it doesn't stop there. Independence changes the way you approach challenges. You stop seeing obstacles as threats and start viewing them as opportunities to grow. Why? Because you're not afraid of failure anymore. When you're detached from external outcomes, you realize that every experience, whether it's a win or a loss, is something you can learn from. That's the Stoic mindset in action. And here's the best part. Independence changes how you see yourself. You're no longer defined by what others think of you or what you achieve. You're defined by the values you live by, the peace you protect, and the strength you carry. When you truly understand this, you start making decisions from a place of power, not fear. You stop reacting to life and start creating it on your terms. But let's not sugarcoat it. Embracing independence isn't always easy. It requires unlearning years of conditioning that taught you to seek validation from others. It requires standing firm in your boundaries, even when people push back. And it requires you to trust yourself completely, even when the path ahead isn't clear. But the reward is freedom. Not just freedom from others' control, but freedom from the limitations you once placed on yourself. And here's where the ripple effect becomes undeniable. When you embrace this mindset, you inspire others to do the same. You show them what it looks like to live without fear, to love without attachment, and to succeed without chasing approval. Your strength becomes their blueprint. Your independence becomes their permission to do the same. So let me ask you, how has embracing independence changed your life? If you felt the power of choosing yourself, drop a comment with the phrase, "Independence is my strength." Let's remind each other that the ripple effect starts with us. In the final section, we'll bring it all together, tying Stoicism, detachment, and independence into a mindset you can carry forward. And of course, I'll share a powerful call to action to solidify this journey. Number 9. Empowerment and the Stoic mindset. Everything we've talked about, detachment, boundaries, independence, comes back to one core idea, empowerment. The Stoics believed that true power lies within. It's not about what you own, who you know, or what others think of you. It's about mastering yourself. And once you do that, nothing and no one can take your peace away. Let's look back for a moment. You didn't need her, and that's what broke her ego. But this journey wasn't about her. It was about you. It was about realizing that your worth was never tied to anyone else. It was about learning to let go of the things you can't control and focusing on the one thing you can, your own mind. That's Stoicism in action, and that's where your freedom begins. But this isn't just philosophy. It's a way of life. Every time you refuse to chase, every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, and every time you walk away from what isn't right for you, you're practicing this mindset. You're choosing yourself. You're reclaiming your power. And most importantly, you're building a life rooted in strength, clarity, and purpose. Now let me ask you, what would your life look like if you fully embraced this mindset? If you stopped seeking validation, stopped fearing rejection, and started living for yourself. Imagine the freedom. Imagine the peace. Imagine the power of knowing that no matter what happens, you're already enough. And here's the best part. This journey doesn't end here. Every day is an opportunity to practice these principles, to strengthen your mind, and to free yourself from the chains of dependency. It won't always be easy, but every step you take is a step toward the life you deserve. If this message has resonated with you, drop a comment with the phrase, "I am my own power." Let's create a community of strength and independence where we uplift each other and inspire each other to live fearlessly. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another lesson like this. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because together we can spread the wisdom of Stoicism and empower others to take back their lives. You didn't need her, you didn't need anyone, and that's what sets you free. Until next time, stay strong, stay grounded, and remember, your power comes from within.